High in the Himalayan mountains, tucked into craggy cliffs and mist-shrouded ridges, are caves that have no doors, no windows, no comforts, only stone, silence, and shadow. And yet, within these spaces, some of the most dedicated spiritual practitioners in Tibetan Buddhism choose to spend years of their lives in total seclusion. For them, the cave is not a prison but a portal. It is a place of death and rebirth, where the ego unravels and the essence of mind is revealed. While modern life hurtles forward in a blur of noise and stimulation, these individuals step out of time entirely. They close the door on the world. They sit. And they wait. The traditional format for such retreats is not arbitrary. Often it lasts exactly 3 years, 3 months, and 3 days. This span of time is considered symbolically and practically profound, long enough to peel away every layer of worldly attachment, yet specific enough to form a structured arc of spiritual transformation. During this period, the practitioner follows a rigorous meditation schedule, beginning at dawn and often continuing late into the night. There are no phones, no visitors, no comforts, no distractions. Meals, if provided by a retreat center or attendant, are minimal, just enough to survive. In the most extreme retreats, the yogi survives on foraged herbs or occasional tsampa, a barley flour staple. Some even take vows of complete darkness. Never lighting a candle or seeing the sun for years, this is not punishment. It is purification. In solitude, everything the mind avoids rises to the surface. The retreatant must face loneliness, fear, boredom, desire, and regret, without escape. There are no conversations to distract, no screens to numb the pain, no tasks to divert attention. What emerges is raw mind, naked consciousness, stripped of identity. It is terrifying and it is sacred. Historically, some of Tibet's greatest masters undertook such retreats. Milarepa, the famous 11th century yogi, lived much of his life in caves, surviving on nettle soup until his skin turned green. He is said to have achieved realization through relentless, isolated practice, singing spontaneous songs of awakening to the empty cliffs. Even today, you can find his cave preserved in the Himalayas, still visited by pilgrims who feel the lingering presence of his mind, but it's not just ancient history. Modern-day practitioners, both monks and lay people, still enter long-term solitary retreats. In regions of India, Nepal, and Bhutan, as well as remote parts of Tibet when accessible, secluded hermitages dot the cliffsides. Some are part of organized retreat centers, others are independent dwellings. The retreats are often sanctioned by a spiritual teacher who provides guidance before and after but leaves the practitioner fully alone once the door closes. What happens in those caves is difficult to express. The outer world fades, and with it, the layers of habitual thought. At first, the retreatant may struggle, haunted by regrets, unfinished business, or emotional storms long buried. But in time, these inner tempests begin to dissolve. The mind becomes quieter. A subtle clarity arises. For those who endure, who stay with the silence, a new kind of perception can emerge. It's not uncommon for retreatants to speak of altered states, visions, deep insight, or an overwhelming sense of connection with all beings. But these experiences are not sought as entertainment, they are simply markers along a vast, unfolding journey toward awakening. Despite the romantic image, cave retreats are not glamorous. The cold bites through thin robes. The stomach groans from hunger. Insects crawl. Rocks bruise. There is no one to comfort, affirm, or reassure. And yet, those who complete the journey often return transformed. Not enlightened in a flashy sense, but softened, opened, radiant with something subtle and unshakable. Many say the cave gave them something they could never find in the world, a direct experience of the nature of mind, luminous, empty, aware. When they emerge, if they choose to return at all, the world looks different. The noise of society no longer penetrates so deeply. The dramas and desires that once seemed urgent now feel like distant echoes. Some become teachers, sharing what they've touched in silence. Others disappear back into retreat, uninterested in fame or recognition. Their lives are not loud, but they leave traces, gentle ripples of peace in a turbulent sea. To most people, the idea of locking oneself away for years with no contact is unthinkable. But to those called to the spiritual path in its rawest form, it is the ultimate act of courage and surrender. In the cave, there is no audience, no applause, no distraction, only the truth, and the long stillness needed to see it. Perhaps, in a world growing ever louder, the example of the cave is more relevant than ever. Not because we must all vanish into the mountains, but because we must remember what can be found when everything else is taken away. A clarity, a vastness, a silence that speaks.